Hey guys, this is Alco193 and welcome. This is Duel 58, also deck request number 9, because I'm going on vacation on the 8th. And I'm leaving for a bit, for almost 3 weeks. Not with my parents, I'm actually going alone, but I'll tell more about that in a vlog later, so please watch that to get more info on my absence and how long I'll be gone. But yeah, I got a deck request from girl11 a while back. Wanted to see a deck made of cards that were only in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, no 5Ds or ZeXal cards anywhere in there. And I already wanted to make 6 Samurai deck with the original, so I combined the two. My opponent today is Dark Magician girl11, a good friend of mine who you've seen in a good amount of duel videos before, who asked me if I would please duel him for a duel video for my channel, and I was like, you know, I was planning to make a duel video anyway, so why not? And he's using a new kind of deck. It's Gishki Hieratics. I was like, what the hell? Because I had never seen Gishki and Hieratics. I was like, how is that going to work together? You're going to see. Spoiler alert! I'm gonna get pwned really badly. Because if you get the right cards in this deck, then you can definitely get pwned. I'm really liking it. Apparently a lot of people have rage quitted against this deck that he's using, but I'm not going to be able to show off much of my 6 Samurai deck, unfortunately, girl11. But yeah, you'll get to see it in the deck profile that I'll do right after this in the same video. And I'll show it off in a regular duel later, so you can actually get to see it in action. Because yeah. Because what I forgot is when you play a ritual spell card, you tribute the monster. The word tribute is important, because the word tribute triggers the Heretics effect. And then both Heretic Dragon of Su and Gust Kraken activate. And Su was tributed before Gust Kraken was summoned, but both are mandatory and can only... Mandatory trigger effects can only start after that part of the chain is done resolving. So Gust Kraken's effect and then Su's effect. But since we normally do TCG rulings, now here's going to be good important rulings that might be important. TCG rulings. Normally it's SEGOC rulings. Simultaneous effects go on chain, and because effects that trigger on the same time, first it's turn players mandatory, non-turn players mandatory, turn players optional, and non-turn players optional effects. But TCG rulings, if a certain effect is triggered just before the other, then the first one becomes immediately becomes chain link 1. So in this case, Heretic Dragon of Su was tributed before Gust Kraken was summoned. So Su automatically becomes Chainlink 1, where Gust Kraken becomes Chainlink 2. And the chain resolves backwards, so what he really should have done was resolve Gust Kraken first and then summon the monster for Su's effect. But in this case it didn't matter at all, because I knew I wouldn't be able to respond with anything or stop him with anything. So I just let him go, and yeah. I'm telling you now in the video how it works. Another example of this ruling, I guess I'll just continue teaching you about it while you see what he's doing. Another well-known example is Caius the Shadow Monarch and Sangan. Because Sangan's effect activates when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, and Caius the Shadow Monarch's effects activate when it's tribute summoned. So you tribute Sangan for Caius the Shadow Monarch. Both trigger. Yeah, so their effects form a chain. But in TCG rulings, the one that was triggered first becomes the first chain link. And Sangan was sent to the graveyard before Caius hit the field, because you first tribute the monster and then you summon Caius, the tribute summon monster. So Sangan automatically becomes Chainlink 1, and then Caius becomes Chainlink 2. So you resolve Caius first, banishing a monster and or a card, and maybe inflicting the 1000 damage, and then Sangan comes in with his searching effect. So, would you have, let's say, Divine Wrath, which can negate monster effects that activate? A card that negates has to be in the next chain link after what it's supposed to negate. Divine Wrath negates monster effects that activate. So both Sangan and Caius would be able to be negated by Divine Wrath. But because Caius immediately follows Sangan in the chain, so Sangan chainlink 1, Caius chainlink 2, Divine Wrath can only stop Caius' effect. It can't negate Sangan because it's not immediately after Sangan in the chain, because Caius is in between. So that might be helpful in some situations. Right now in the duel, we're quite a bit ahead. We're almost at half of the duel. I wonder how much you have actually seen of it, because during my talking I've been looking all over, except for at my computer screen, well, where the duel is showing. But yeah, he's put up a combo with Heretic Dragon of Su, Constellar Ptolemy's Messenger 7, and Gishki... forgot the name, but I just said it, and you'll see it in a bit again. And then he just returns Su, or returns Gishki Shadow, uses his ritual spell to get his ritual monster back in his hand, spell in the deck, use Gishki Shadow to get the spell again, summon it again because then usually you have a Su or a Tefnuit still in your hand. But yeah, here I did draw a Torrential Tribute. I'm like, that's my only chance I can stop him, like destroying everything he has. But no, he has to have Heavy Storm. Yeah, here I knew I was screwed. I'm like, here. I even said in the chat, deck request video, more like showing off your deck, more than mine. Because, yeah, I'm not showing off my deck at all. Yeah. Ooh. I just noticed something. I forgot to speed up the duel. Normally I speed it up to 1.5. I'm like, this duel is too long. It's a lot longer than normal duels. But yeah, I've already been narrating for 7.5 minutes, so I guess, sorry guys, you'll have to do the regular speed duel. If it gets too boring, I'm sorry. I forgot to speed it up this time, and I have to do that before the narration, because otherwise either the narration doesn't make any sense anymore, or the narration goes super quick as well, and I'll have a squeaky voice! Like that. Because of the speeding up and stuff. So yeah, here he has another good card, because he has Lavalval Chain, which can send any card from his deck to the grave, or a monster card from his deck, and he can put it on top of his deck. I'm getting tired. But I did sleep a lot. I'm going to have to sleep well for the next 3 nights, because I'm leaving not too early, but I'm leaving early to get to my plane, and I'll arrive at Miami International Airport after midnight my time. So yeah, I'm going to need to sleep well the next 3 nights, and I'm definitely going to do that, because I'm going to need to stay awake for a bit. I can probably sleep in the plane, but no. Here you go. Dark Magician girl11 is continuing the assault. Viewing the deck, getting Aqua Mirror. Guess what's coming next? Aqua Mirror. Tributing either Su or Tefnuit. And then doing something. Because yeah, with this second Constellar Ptolemy's Messenger 7, he could just get back one of his monsters, and then tribute it, and then summon something new, then exceed into something else, and then yeah. I'm just going to lose to this, you know? Gishki Aqua Mirror, getting rid of Tefnuit. So it's just Tefnuit and Su are really just there to be tributed for the spell. Summoning a new monster, it is called a What-tailed Dragon. Overlaying it, oh yeah, and then the Gishki's effect activates, chooses both of my legendary Emon steeds. Didn't have a really good hand to start with anyway, but yeah. Not like I stood much of a chance against this deck, whatever I had. But yeah. overlay! And I was expecting the third Ptolemy Messier 7, but he instead went for Photon Streak Bouncer. Because, well, it has the same amount of attack points, but it's also a very helpful level 6 monster because it can stop effects that activate on the opponent's field. But only on the opponent's field, not hand traps like Effect Failure, Battle Fader, and Swift Scarecrow. So those can't be stopped, but my deck doesn't have any of those, so I can't exactly do much. I'm totally screwed. But yeah, who wants to see a deck profile of his deck? If you want, then tell me in the comments, and I'll ask him for the deck recipe, and I'll try out the deck and then make a duel with it and a deck profile later. Because I'm liking it, I'd like to try it out myself. Won't be the deck I use too often, but I'll just stick to the decks that I use often now. But I'm really liking the deck, and I'm hoping you guys do too. You either hate or love this deck, I would guess. Because apparently a lot of his opponents rage quitted. I'm not supposed to be tired. I slept really well. Maybe I'm yawning because I slept so well. Whatever. Yeah, here he summons another of his monsters, getting rid of another of my cards. And now he's certain that there's nothing that can stop him. So he's like, yeah, I am going to beat you. Shuffling my deck, returning that to my hand. And here comes the big guys. But yeah, he hasn't won yet. I can still stop him. Let us do this. Come and get me. Photon Streak Bouncer. Ah, that hurt. That hurt my feelings. And he attacks directly with Messier 7, but when he attacks with a third Messier 7, I'm like, no way. God! I can still win this. I just guard with my equip spell in defense mode. Like Vanguard style, but yeah, I don't have another card in my hand to discard to give myself the perfect defense. Doesn't really work. Unfortunate. I get pwned. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the duel. Crunch$G. I'm sorry that I didn't get to show off the duel much, the deck much, but you will get a deck profile in a bit, and I promise I'll show it off in a regular duel later. Alright, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be seeing you in a moment for the deck profile, and after that for a duel video tomorrow. Bye-bye. Hey guys, and welcome to the deck profile that is part of deck request number 9. I'm recording this after having recorded the duel, but before I've recorded the narration for the duel, so I don't really know what I'm going to say there, but you will know by now because you'll already have seen that. But it makes editing easier if I record this first. So yeah, kinda got pwned. So you didn't get to see much of my deck. Normally I'd say the duel was far too one-sided, and I'd redo the duel and I'd make it a more exciting duel to watch normally. But this is a completely I never saw Gishki Hieratics before, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna allow it. He even asked like about an hour ago, would you please duel me for a video? Because he's a good friend of mine, so I said sure, okay. And he said he would use a new deck, so and I was thinking about making a deck profile of his deck by my own request because I actually want to see it. So I'm going to ask him for the deck recipe, and I'm going to try it out later. But yeah, let's go to the deck profile of the deck that you didn't exactly get to see much of. Yeah, it's this. It is. Yeah. Crunch$G's deck request. Make a deck of. You can use any cards as long as there's no 5Ds or ZeXal cards in there. So only original Yu-Gi-Oh! And GX. And I already wanted to make a deck with the original 6 Samurais, so I was like, gonna combine the two. So it's a 6 Samurai deck, and look, a lot of cards you haven't seen because of my opponents. It was a fun duel though. Anyway, I have 2 Cyber Dragons in here. Cyber Dragon just for quick summons, because if the opponent has monsters and you don't, you can special summon him from your hand. I have 1 copy of Anishishin's Chancellor. If you have 2 or more 6 Samurais in your graveyard, you can banish 2 of them and then special summon this girl from your hand. It's a Nomi monster, so it can't be special summoned by any other ways. Even Monster Reborn can't do it. And once per turn, you can target a face-up monster and destroy it. Anishi just can't attack during that same turn. But that is very helpful to get rid of a strong monster the opponent has. I have 3 copies of Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. If you control at least 1 face-up 6 Samurai monster, you can special summon it from your hand, which is very helpful. That way you can get multiple strong monsters out in one go. And when this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, so not your own, but only your opponent, so that could be Bottomless Trap Hole, Torrential, Mirror Force, that kind of stuff. You can target it's mandatory, so you target 1 6 Samurai monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So that way you can get any of your good cards back. 3 copies of, the boss monster of the 6 Samurais, back when they were, in this original set. Later came the legendary 6 Samurais with Shi-En, and that one definitely took over as the boss monster, but it was Great Shogun Shin at first. And you can special summon it if you have 2 or more 6 Samurai monsters you can face up in the field. So a combo that was seen often was summon a regular 6 Samurai like Zanji, then special summon Grandmaster, then special summon Shin. And Shin has quite the helpful abilities, because your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap card each turn. And when combined with Shi-En, the synchro variant of Shin, Shin says once per turn you can negate the activation and effect of a spell or trap the opponent controls. And due to Shin, the opponent can't activate a second card then. So that way you can sort of lock your opponent in. And many of these original 6 Samurais also had the effect that if they would be destroyed, you can destroy another 6 Samurai monster you control instead. But would they both be destroyed, so let's say Shin and Zanji would both be destroyed through Mirror Force or Torrential, then you can't destroy Zanji instead of Shin, because Zanji would be destroyed anyway. Here I have the 6 Samurai Iro, one of the big guys, sort of from the original 6 Samurais, and if it attacks a face-down defense position monster at the start of the damage step, so for the ones who know their stuff about the damage step, that's sub-step 3, so that's, start of damage step, sub-step 1, sub-step 1, before damage calculation is sub-step 3. Confusing myself, start of damage step, sub-step 1, so before flipping the monster face up, because that's sub-step 2. Go study if you don't know that yet. You can destroy a monster without flipping it face up or applying damage calculation. This line is here to make it clearer for those that don't really know the damage step too well. But if you know your damage step, then those 2 lines wouldn't be necessary. But it's there for clarification, which is very helpful because a lot of players don't know this, and it's quite complicated and difficult to understand. But the original 6 Samurais, to resolve their effects, like Iroh's destroying effect on defense monsters, you need another face-up 6 Samurai of a different name. So if you have 2 Irohs on the field, wouldn't work. Alright, 6 Samurai common, I have 1 copy, and he can once per turn target 1 face-up spell or trap card and destroy it. And when you use this effect, he can't attack during that same turn. I have Yaichi, which is pretty much the same as Kamon, only Yaichi works on face down spell and traps, and usually you want to take out the face downs more than the face ups. That's why I have 2 Yaichi and only 1 Kamon. And then I have Zanji, the strongest of the regular 6 Samurais, I guess, because it has the most attack points. It has 1800, and at the end of the damage step, if the card attacked, So Zanji needs to be the attacking monster. You destroy the monster this card attacked. If the monster would already be destroyed by battle by Zanji, so let's say Zanji is fighting an opponent's Kamon, then Kamon would be destroyed by battle by Zanji, so its effect doesn't kick in. But let's say he would be facing Sheen in defense mode for some reason. Yeah, 2400 defense. Then Zanji would attack him. Zanji's controller would take 600 damage, but then Zanji's effect would kick in and destroy the monster that Zanji attacked. So then Sheen would still be gone. And just like with all the other guys here, you need another face-up 6 samurai with a different name to activate and resolve the effect. And if it would be destroyed, you can destroy another 6 samurai instead. Spells and trap-wise, I have one Cunning of the 6 Samurai. It's a quick play spell, and with it you can send a face-up 6 samurai monster you control to the graveyard, and then target a 6 samurai in either player's graveyard and special summon it. I usually do this to dodge cards like Bottomless Trapple, because Bottomless Trapple have a specific target. Well, Bottomless Trapple doesn't target, but it works on one specific monster usually. So let's say I summon Zanji, and the opponent uses Bottomless Trapple, and I don't want to lose my monster advantage, then if I can, I'll play Cunning of the 6 Samurai, get rid of Zanji, summon a new one that could also be the same Zanji, but then there will need to be a 6 Samurai monster in my grave to begin with before I send Zanji there, and then I can special summon it again, but because it left the field, Bottomless doesn't work on it anymore. So Zanji's still in the field, but I would also be able to summon Grandmaster or Kamon or Iru. Yeah. Heavy Storm, staple to get rid of spells and traps. 2 legendary Ebon Steeds. I quite like this equip spell. You can only equip it to a 6 samurai monster, and even though they are part of it, sort of, Great Shogun Sheen and Sheen's Chancellor, they don't have 6 samurai in their name, so they can't be equipped by a legendary Ebon Steed, but it still works for all the others. It gives them 200 extra attack, which works. But if the card Legendary Ebon Steed is equipped to would be destroyed, then this card is destroyed instead and the monster survives. So that way they can survive Mirror Force and stuff. 1 Lightning Vortex, sending 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, destroying all other face-up monsters the opponent has. I could also go for Dark Hole instead of this one. I decided to go for Lightning Vortex. I could go for Dark Hole instead, because there's some cards in here that I'm like, they're not that useful all the time. Like this one, the Field Spell Sheen's Castle of Mist. I only have 1 copy since it's not that useful usually, because when a 6 samurai monster is attacked, the attacking monster loses 500 attack during damage calculation only, and it's not that useful that often. But this actually has proven useful, whereas 6 Swift Samurai Storm has actually never proven useful. So I'm going to take this one out, throw this one here, and I'm changing things again while making the deck profile, throwing Dark Hole in there, which is going right here according to the alphabet. Alright, Dark Hole to destroy everything. Yay. And boom. Okay, Monster Reborn to, well, make a monster come back from the grave. 2 MSTs to get rid of spells and traps. Reasoning, so I can summon a monster, usually, because I have quite a few different levels, and I usually get a monster with Reasoning. And Reasoning actually could potentially... No, wait, it doesn't. Let's skip what I just said. Right, Reinforcements of the Army. If you're running Warriors and you have quite a lot of level 4 or lowers, this one's pretty much a must. It's limited for a reason, because it's so good. 3 copies of 6 Samurai United, because I want draw power in this deck, and there wasn't that much of really useful draw power that I was looking for in the original series in GX. If you guys have any other ideas for search or draw power, because I am looking for a bit more of that, then please tell me. But I have 6 Samurai United, because each time 6 Samurai monster is normal or special summoned, you can add a Bushido counter to it, and the card can have a maximum of 2 Bushido counters, and you can send it from your field to the grave to draw 1 card for each Bushido counter on it, and usually you'll wait until it has 2, send it to the grave, draw 2. Backs to the wall, I have one copy of this deck. This is one, like, the last shot deck if you're really behind. Because you pay life points so that you only have 100 left. You usually wait as long as you can with this so that you won't have to pay much life points, and you'll have a lot of 6 samurais in your grave, because this trap lets you special summon as many 6 samurais from your graveyard as possible. But you can't special summon any monster, more than one monster of the same name. So no 2 Zanjis, no 2 Kamons, no 2 Irus. But you can summon 1 Zanji, 1 Gaichi, 1 Kamon, 1 Iru, 1 Grandmaster, for example. Would they all be in your graveyard? 2 copies of Bottomless to get rid of opponent's stuff. Dark Ripe to negate any spells or traps. Oh, there's a ship outside. Mirror Force to get rid of attacking monsters. Solemn Judgment. I don't have Solemn Warning in this deck because Solemn Warning didn't exist yet in the GX time. I believe that came out somewhere in the 5Ds era. So that's why it's not in there. 1 copy of Swift Strike Armor, because during your draw phase, each time you draw a 6 Samurai monster card, you can reveal it and special summon it. So you can get a free summon out of Zanji, of Grandmaster, that kind of stuff. And that actually quite helped in a few duels before. And then I have 1 copy of Torrential to just, boom, blow up the field to get rid of opponent's monsters. I don't have an extra deck because before 5Ds there were no Synchros or Exeses, so there were only fusions that you could put in your extra deck. Back then it was still called a fusion deck. But 6 Samurais don't really have any useful fusions, and I was thinking, you know, I have 2 Cyber Dragons, I could put in a Chimeric Fortress Dragon, because that doesn't need polymerization, but Fortress Dragon also came out during 5Ds, so not allowed according to the deck request. I have 2 copies of DD Crow to get rid of opponent's stuff in the graveyard, so they can't, like, reborn it with, let's say, Red Eyes Darkness Metal, Monster Reborn, or banish it for BLS, Light Pulsar Dragon, whatever, or get it back with Insector Centipede. I have 3 copies of Legendary Jujutsu Master. If this monster is in defense position and a monster attacks it, then at the end of the damage step, if the Jujutsu monster survives the attack, then the monster that attacked it returns to the deck. I have 2 more copies of Cunning of the 6 Samurai, because it's one of the 6 Samurai supports that actually was around during the GX days. It originally wasn't even in the main deck, but I took out Swift Samurai Storm, I believe it was called, and put in one of them, because it could actually work. You just saw me put in 1 Sheen's Castle of Mist. I have 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors and 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors to stop opponent's decks. And then finally I have 3 Pulling the Rugs, and its effect lets you negate the activation and effects of an effect monster whose effect activates when a monster was normal summoned, even the monster itself, and you can destroy that. So if the opponent uses monarchs, then the effect will trigger the moment it's summoned, so you can activate it. But if it's an optional effect, like let's say Mobius the Frost Monarch, I believe is an optional one. If the opponent doesn't decide to activate it, you can't use Pulling the Rug. But I believe that as long as you use something directly in response to a summon, even a card effect, then this can still stop it. So I believe even if, let's say, you summon, I don't know, Tour Guide, let's say Tour Guide from the Underworld, and the opponent would respond to that summon with Effect Veiler, then it's in response to the summon, so it's an effect monster whose effect activated when a monster was normal summoned. So I believe then Pulling the Rug can stop Effect Veiler. I'm not completely certain of it, but I'm quite sure. But yeah, that'll be it for this deck profile, for this deck request, Chronology. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't really get to show off much of the deck, but I promise you, once I'm back from vacation, I'm going to show off a lot more of it. And about my vacation, I'm not going to tell much more about my vacation now. I'll do that in the duel video that's probably coming up tomorrow, because I'm leaving on the 8th and I'm planning another regular duel video for tomorrow. So then I'll tell, during the narration there, I'll tell a bit more about my vacation. I'll also do that in a regular vlog, and I'll talk about my absence for almost 3 weeks. So please watch that so that you won't miss me and stuff. Okay? I'll see you later. Bye-bye.